Big beautiful bill after debating the 940-page package over the weekend.
Madeline Rivera joins us live from Washington with the latest. Hey, Maddie.
Good morning, guys. This has been a lengthy process with drama from both Republicans and Democrats. The Senate began debating the bill around 3 p.m. Eastern time yesterday. That only came after Democrats forced a full reading of this bill, a process that stretched from Saturday into Sunday. But Republicans had to work through their own differences as well to even clear the motion to debate in the first place. Two senators, Tom Tillis and Rand Paul, defected. Tillis later announcing he is not seeking re-election after President Trump threatened him with a primary challenge. Still, Tillis is doubling down on his opposition. Here's a quick roundup of what lawmakers said over the weekend.
This bill in its current form will betray the very promise that Donald J. Trump made.
This bill makes the 2017 tax cuts permanent. It avoids a tax increase for your family that's coming in December if we don't act now.
Republicans are about to pass the single most expensive bill in U.S. history to give tax breaks to billionaires while taking away Medicaid, SNAP benefits, and good-paying jobs for millions of people.
So the vote series is expected to kick off at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and during that time, Republicans and Democrats can offer as many amendments as they wish. After the vote series ends, the Senate can move forward to approve the bill with a simple majority. But remember, Paul and Tillis are already opposed to this bill, so Senate Majority Leader John Thune can only afford to lose one more vote, with Vice President J.D. Vance providing the tie-breaking vote, of course. If it passes, the bill heads back to the House so the two chambers can sync up. But some House Republicans have already said they can't support the Senate's version. All of this potentially putting the president's July 4th deadline at risk. The president appears to have softened on that date, though. Here's what he told Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures.
I'd like to say yes, but the problem is if we're 2 days late or 5 days late, everybody says, oh, you had a tremendous failure. Whatever it is, as long as we have it, it's very important. If we don't have it, there's a 68% tax increase. If we don't have it, the debt ceiling extension is very important.
The House could take up the bill as early as Wednesday.
It was a radical idea. Imagine doubling the federal minimum wage. I can't do this. No way. Rich kids, they deserve to get a free education. That is what democracy is.
Where all the good people go.
Too exciting. Too funny. That's a good one, Jerry. Where do you even find these? It's perfect. Okay, it's perfect, Jerry. Jerry, it's gold, Jerry. It's gold. I might want to play that again in the show. We are riding a high, ladies and gentlemen, as we have shut the mouth of AOC. It's a wild thing that I don't know if there's any show in history that's been able to actually do it like this one. And we just want to start off by saying our hearts are brimming with gratitude and joy this morning. Monday, June 30th, 2025. Last day of June. Whoa! Man, it is ripping. It is ripping. My daughter's about to have her 5th birthday. My daughter's 5. Whoa! It's crazy. She was so close to being born. Her due date was July 4th. Her due date was July 4th. It didn't end up happening, but that's enough for me, okay? That's enough for me to tell me that God wanted me to have children and that America's birthday should be something we should all celebrate. And we're going to be doing that this week. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But first, AOC, Bronx Girl persona, destroyed in part by all of us together saying, you know what? Truth is more important than lies. Zohran Mamdani doubles down on plan to target white people with higher taxes, says billionaires shouldn't exist. Okay, well, we have border czar Tom Homan on the show. Let's go. Can we get a cheer for Tom Homan? Come on. Tom Homan on the program today, baby. It's going to be awesome. Live from the White House. Hogan Gidley as well will be talking to us from Speaker Johnson's office. We're going to talk a little big, beautiful bill. And Joe Borelli joining the program to talk New York politics. Oh, baby. It's going to be a wild one. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. let me tell you a little bit about what's going on in the economy right now. We were just in New York, and it's like, geez, man, like you're looking around, and it's like, this is a third world country. It's crazy. We went through the Bronx. It was wild to see. I don't know why anyone would ever stay in New York City. There are so many nice places to live, but if Zohran Mamdani wins, that city is going to go totally bankrupt. Ladies and gentlemen, the economy is fluid. It moves. And those motions are really important to keep track of. Obviously, you don't want to be left holding the bag. That's why I invest in gold. Gold is how I protect my wealth. I just diversify into it, right? It's not like I'm not sitting there and a pile of gold like Smeagol. This is how I diversify. And it's the best performing asset class in my portfolio. Advantage Gold takes care of me, and they can take care of you. With physical gold, the US dollar's dominance is under attack. Gold is becoming the number one hedge against global currency shifts. How to move your IRA or 401k into physical gold, they can help you do it tax and penalty free. And how do you get $10,000 in free gold and silver? Well, you just call today. You can text Benny to 85545. That's Benny to 85545. Or you can go to AdvantageGold.com. It's AdvantageGold.com. Data and message rates apply. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. Ladies and gentlemen, something that AOC didn't do. Ooh, boy. I guess we should just start off with the top line here. This is the video up on X, and it, whoa. It's done 5 million views. It's done close to 10 million views across the great, wide, beautiful internet. And we just want to shout out to the audiences here who helped us get there. Now, what did we do? Well, and why did we do it? And this video has very much broken the internet, as they say. And the reason that we were so upset about it is that we've heard AOC repeat a lie over and over and over again. This is the most recent iteration of that lie. It was her chirping at Donald Trump last week. On June 24th, AOC said, Donald Trump, I'm a Bronx girl. You should know that we eat Queens boys for breakfast, respectfully. So AOC's weird psychosexual fetish stuff. She's like obsessed with Elon Musk. She's obsessed with Donald Trump. She can't help herself. She was responding to a Donald Trump post here where Donald Trump called her low IQ and then endorsed her for president in 2028, which is amazing. And she can't help herself, though. And it's this response, actually, that went and put the nail in the old coffin for AOC. This whole I'm a Bronx girl shtick is so tiresome because it's working class stolen valor. And this is what really gets under my skin. Is there's a lot of people that really do grow up poor, that really do grow up working class, that really do grow up with absolutely nothing in terrible, rat-infested, sunken, crumbling neighborhoods. And those people are not AOC. It's stolen valor, the likes of Kamala Harris saying, I worked the fries, right? Kamala Harris, I worked the fries. How'd that turn out for Kamala Harris? I'm telling you, it's going to turn out the exact same way for AOC. All you needed was somebody to call AOC on this. President Trump called Kamala Harris. Get me that Trump with the fries. I just got to put it up. I got to put it up. Just get me the Trump with the fries. I got to put it up. So Kamala Harris lied. And I want to just harken back here. ALX, if you could grab really quickly that lie, that Kamala Harris, I work the fries lie. Because it's the same thing. I just want to take a really quick side quest here, just very shortly. Because it is, if you, please don't cancel me. I'm going to use the left's playbook. All right? Your identity is really all that matters. And people know when you're being fake with your identity. Wow. These people have bought lock, stock, and barrel, bit the bullet of identity politics, and they live by the sword, and now they're going to die by the sword. Dude, these people have been preaching that your identity, most importantly, your immutable qualities, your skin color, where you come from, right? Where, what you identify as, these immutable, your immutable qualities, their words, not mine. That's what's defined you. In fact, dare I say, that's the most important thing about you, actually. And of course, they can't admit when those qualities do not properly align with the oppression worldview, right? Like, so Kamala Harris's story is that both of her parents were physicists. They were professors. Kamala Harris lived in a beautiful, leafy, rich suburb of Montreal, Canada. Kamala Harris went to the fancy school in Montreal, Canada. It's beautiful. Kamala Harris never worked at McDonald's. It doesn't appear on any of her resumes. There's no record of her working at McDonald's. She never did it. She can't point to the location. There's not a single person that came forward and said, we worked with her. We remember her. Yeah, Kamala Harris makes a lie like this. Here's Kamala Harris. I'm telling you, this is the worst lie that Kamala Harris told on the campaign trail. This did more damage to Kamala Harris in 2024 than any other thing that she said. Here we go.
First one, just a fact check, because your opponent
there is
almost
no little
every
job.
day. Okay,
there's no such thing as a little job.
Okay, fair. Because your opponent almost every day seems to be talking about this. So I just want to ask you yes or no. At any point in your life, have you served 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, working at a McDonald's? Yes or no? That's it.
I have.
Okay. Now the other job.
But it was not a small job. Like, I did the fries. I mean, yes, but I did.
I did the fries.
The fries.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, all right. Hey, Klein, you ever worked fast food? You ever worked at a restaurant? Yeah, you ever waiter? I was a waiter. Yeah, waiter. Oh man, I busted my ass. That was dude. That was like some of the hardest. First off, when I was in community college, I was working at a Iowa sushi restaurant, and let me tell you, don't eat sushi in Iowa. Okay, let me just make something very clear to you. Don't eat sushi in Iowa. It was like a fried egg roll place. Okay, that's considered sushi in Iowa. They fry the egg rolls. Okay, that's where I worked. Like, I worked through school. Man, that was tough work. But let me tell you what, like, if you ever worked inside of a restaurant, it's called Formosa. You can look it up. It's called Formosa in Iowa City, Iowa. It's still around. You can still go find it. Formosa. That's where, there it is, right there. Goodness gracious. Man, I busted my ass as a waiter here. I busted my ass. It was just a place where college kids go get blackout, right? I was sitting there at Kirkwood Community College. I wasn't even cool enough to go to the University of Iowa. Anyway, the point is, it's not about me. The point is that you remember these things. It's excruciating. My feet have never hurt so much. Working those doubles, like, my back ached, my shoulders ached. This is really, frankly, this is like really some of the toughest labor out there. Okay, be good to your waiters and waitresses. No tax on tips. Tip well. It's a good Christian thing to do. Like, view it as a bit of an offering. Like, be good to your servers, obviously. It's very tough. But you don't talk about it like that. Every person who ever worked fast food, shout yourself out in the comments. Shout yourself out. Did you work fast food? Where'd you work? Did you work at a restaurant? Put it in. Shout yourself out in the comments. Did you work at Applebee's? Did you work at Texas Roadhouse? Did you work at the buffet? Did you work at the local gas station? That was the other job. The other job was the gas station job. But this is just how country kids grow up. This is how most kids grow up, honestly. But you don't tee-hee-hee giggle about it, go like this, and then say, I worked the fries, and then talk about the dignity of it all, and that there's no such thing as a small job. This is not the way that you talk about those kind of jobs. I can still feel the sores and the aching in my feet for being up on my feet for 18 hours a day, like carrying trays. It's like just how it is. I'm sure that you worked in restaurant. I think that like McDonald's has employed like 15% of America or something like that. It's like an insane amount of people that have worked at McDonald's in this country. I'm getting to a point here. The point here is that that's working class stolen valor is what that is. It's Kamala Harris lying. She had no proof. She doesn't have any receipts, slips, paychecks. Nobody from McDonald's vouched for her. McDonald's says we have no record of her working here. Nobody that she worked with remembers her. I remember my coworkers. I remember my managers. And I certainly remember what it was like. And it's not, I worked the fries. Tee! That's not how people talk about jobs like that. Look at President Trump. He actually did work the fries. Donald Trump called Kamala Harris out on that lie. And then this, is this side of an assassination attempt? One of the most iconic thing we've seen in American politics to date. Okay, so let's take bullet to the head out of it. This is the most iconic thing Trump did on the campaign trail. You know it's true. Trash truck was awesome. Some of the speeches were amazing. Having some of the rappers up on stage with him were really cool. Had some big old audiences. Some, RNC convention. But this was the most iconic. This is what dignity, giving dignity to people who do these jobs. This is what it looks like. You know, libs talk about like, I see you, we want to see you. This is what seeing people it looks like. When a billionaire rolls up his sleeves and gets all the salt and grease in his hands and hair splattered in his eyes. Trump serving his Happy Meals, it was incredible. We don't have time right now, but some of the best comedy Trump ever did, the single best comedy Trump ever did was that drive-through window. Trump just absolutely talking smack in the drive-through window, talking trash about Kamala Harris, like giving people their Happy Meals. It was wild. Of course, it was also iconic. It's straight up Norman Rockwell. He like created a Norman Rockwell painting here. It's amazing. Who doesn't want a Christmas card that looks like this? Who doesn't want this on their Christmas tree? This is gonna be it. We just figured it out. We're gonna make this the Christmas ornament. That's gonna be the Christmas ornament this year. Who would want to hang one of these from your tree? You want to hang one of these from the tree? It's amazing. You should you can find it like the pool feed of Donald Trump just working the drive-through window. He should do this once a month. Just work in the drive-through window and just talking smack to people. Just like laughing and hollering and like spitballing with people. Just jaw-jawing. Oh, so great. Yeah, he gave extra nuggets. He gave Kamala Harris a salty Happy Meal. He was like asked about like what his message is to Kamala Harris because it was her birthday when he was doing this. And he's like, happy birthday, Kamala. Enjoy the salt. Come on, people. Salt! The point is, I'm too excited about it, is that you live by the sword, you die by the sword. This is Donald Trump, who's, again, an absolute master at moments like this, at calling people out on their fraudulence, at exposing them where they're most vulnerable. This is President Trump going in straight through the belly of the dragon. He found the missing scale. Said, you people are going to live in this fake world that you worked at McDonald's. You didn't. You were a privileged yuppie kid who grew up with your professor parents in a nice little suburb. You never worked at McDonald's. You're lying. And then what does that do? That proves to how many people worked at McDonald's? Ask Grok, please. 12.5% of the country? 12.5% of the country? Were you one of them? Have you worked fast food? Shout out your fast food in the comment section. Ashley, would you mind popping them up? I want to see where people have worked. Anyway, that's not... I'm sorry to get like the side quest here, but it's setting up how this works. AOC, why this was so important for us to go up to AOC's district, why we had the show off last Thursday, why I'm so proud of our team here at this company, because we were able to flip this thing around. We were able to flip this patty like a Big Mac, okay? Okay, I worked at McDonald's, says Kim. Well, thank you, Kim. A few years. I agree with you. It's really hard work. Hey, Kim, did you do the fries? Is that what you did? I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt that's the way you talk about your McDonald's experience. But anyway, nothing but love out to the chat. Okay, we got McDonald's. Let's do one or two more. Yeah, we got anybody else who worked fast food? Or maybe who's working fast food? Okay, Paul worked at McDonald's. Paul and Mr. Pitt, Mr. PDB, 78, worked at Pizza Hut. Come on, man. Well done. Freaking love classic pizza. You work at one of the classic Pizza Huts with the buffets and the X-Men video games with the Ninja Turtle video games. That's the one. That's the kind of Pizza Hut I went to. Got that deep dish. Hardee's, McDonald's, Dairy Queen, and Pizza Hut for Lucy Marie Dawn. Way to go. Man, that is the trifecta. Wendy's, Panera Bread. I'm a big fan of it. I really like Wendy's. That's Mizzy Nizzy. Thank you, Mizzy. 70s gas station said, why are you so angry? Well, I'm not angry today. I'm really happy. But I thank you for your comment. Why are you so angry? 70s gas station. I bet that was rad. I bet you let it rip there in Domino's. Okay. This is like this. I'm so like proud of our working class audience. It's amazing. Anybody else got calluses on their fingers and on their hands? Like this is the country. This is America. This is how we relate. This is how President Trump relates. But Trump was a billionaire, and he was raising queens. Yeah, well, why did the working class love Trump so much? You know the one thing that Trump could have done? He could have just retired and go bought an island. He doesn't. He keeps building. We'll be at a Trump property this week. Trump keeps building. And you know when Trump decides to build a building, you know what that does? Create hundreds of thousands of working class jobs. Everyone from the people who run plates in the kitchen to the guys who build the actual buildings, maintain the buildings. Like, people love Trump for that reason. He's so rich. Dude, have you ever seen the footage of Trump working in his own tower in Trump, Chicago, being a bellboy? It was incredible. It's wild footage. Hey, Alex, that's the last thing I'll ask for. Can you grab that footage? It's like Trump. This is like classic. This is Donald Trump. Donald Trump went and delivered food to people, brought people's luggage up to their room, went and walked their dogs. I think it was Entertainment Tonight. I can't remember who it was. He did valet. It was amazing. Trump did every working class job at his hotel. So cool. Anyway, the point is that most Americans either work that's great. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay. Most Americans either work a working class job right now. If you're a parent, you have a working class job. If you're a full-time stay-at-home parent, you are in the middle of a working class job. Either work one right now or absolutely did work one, right? So when libs lie about it, it's stolen valor, especially the pretentious. Oh man, so awesome. Just so awesome. Look at this. Look at him go. Look at Trump go. Look at that. So this is Trump Trump's going to be a busboy. Oh, I'm sorry. He's going to be a bag man. He's going to be a bellhop here at Trump Chicago. This is Trump in Trump Chicago. We just kind of like zip forward. There he goes. Is Trump like taking? Isn't that amazing? Trump like with the gloves and with the white gloves and everything. Trump taken out. Oh, it's just beautiful. Great memories. That's right. We've done a lot of work at Trump Chicago too. Man, we love this location. I cannot tell you enough what a great location. If you're in Chicago, which there's other questions about that. Why are you in Chicago? But if you are there, this place is magical. Here's Trump. He goes and he like walks the dog. It's amazing. You just love it. You can smell a fraud. AOC didn't build anything. Kamala didn't build anything. What a different take I'd have on this if AOC or Kamala Harris, could you imagine, ran like a massive billion-dollar real estate or construction empire. Well, then you'd have a little working class credit to your name. That's what Trump does. Trump has provided more working class jobs through either being president or being a very successful billionaire real estate developer than Kamala Harris could, or the Green New Deal, or any piece of legislation that AOC or Kamala Harris could ever pass. So it's a particularly great point of attack at AOC and at Kamala Harris. Now, Donald Trump already did Kamala Harris. He did a number on her. She's cooked. She's finished, literally cooked like the fries. But AOC, nobody's laid glove on her. That's a little weird. AOC's out. There it is, Klein. AOC's out chirping at Donald Trump. This Bronx girl, you can come get it. Come get this Bronx girl. I'm a Bronx girl. I represent the Bronx. She does represent the Bronx. But is she a Bronx girl? Well, the answer is no. She's not from the Bronx. The Bronx is a very hard scrabble, historic, working class district of New York. It's famous. She's not from there at all. AOC's from the opposite of the Bronx. She's from a little hamlet, literally a town called Yorktown Hamlet Heights. And that's a very clean, pretty, safe, wealthy neighborhood way up in Westchester County. It's manicured and leafy. There's mansions and American flags, small businesses. It's an absolute paradise. AOC isn't just like from there, meaning she just like got a birth certificate from there or whatever. All right. There, Kenya, whatever. Like, she's not just like, no, she grew up there. This town raised AOC. The Bronx didn't raise AOC. This town did. Why has nobody ever gone and like exposed that? Isn't like the entire media of the global media of the earth located in Manhattan? All you had to do was drive 90 minutes like we did. And that's what we did. Here's a photo. We teased it on the show. And we said, hey, we decided to go to see, AOC is about to run for president. She's definitely going to run for president. She's literally running for president on the lie that she's a Bronx girl. I think I will play one of these. How about just clip A, please, Klein? Here's AOC's campaign ad where it's just one of thousands of times where AOC lies that she's a Bronx girl. But look at that's quite a crowd. Wow, that's quite a crowd there. Let's listen.
Idaho, I am so touched being here. I'm a girl from the Bronx.
Is she though? Has anybody asked? We did. Here's just the first couple minutes of our report exposing where AOC is really from, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, it's since gone viral and changed, very much changed the narrative here. Please enjoy just the first few minutes.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Bronx. This is where AOC says she's from. And this is where AOC is actually from. Welcome to Yorktown, the business hamlet of Yorktown Heights. There's mansions everywhere. It's beautiful, it's green, it's pristine, it's clean. And they even have a Christopher Columbus Society. I thought AOC got all those statues ripped down. Some structural racism right here in AOC's hometown. Today we're gonna investigate the biggest lie in all of politics, the fraud of AOC. Let's go.
This is the Bronx. The Bronx is a gritty, working-class, hardscrabble, historic borough of New York City. AOC is a communist who represents the Bronx in Congress. She's not just a rising star in the Democrat Party, she is the Democrat Party. Clearly preparing for a 2028 run, AOC is breaking fundraising records and filling stadiums to hype her Bronx girl persona.
I'm a girl from the Bronx.
AOC won her seat in Congress in 2018 by attacking her establishment Democrat opponent as not being sufficiently from the Bronx.
That a Democrat who takes corporate money, doesn't live here, doesn't send his kids to our schools, doesn't drink our water, cannot possibly represent us.
AOC reflexively repeats that she's from the Bronx and a Bronx girl.
I speak like a girl from the block.
And again.
I grew up first generation in the Bronx.
And again.
Girls from the Bronx are welcome everywhere.
So often that it's almost a pathology. In fact, AOC just pulled the Bronx girl card again this week, responding to President Trump, saying she would eat a Queens boy like Donald Trump for breakfast.
I don't think he knows how to deal with a girl from the Bronx.
Something's very wrong here. What functional adult repeats where they're from this often? Someone who's lying. And here's the dirty little secret. AOC is not actually from the Bronx. Since AOC was an infant, her family has lived in a beautiful little hamlet called Yorktown Heights. This little town is the opposite of AOC's gritty, downtrodden, working-class persona. It's clean and beautiful and safe. The neighborhood that AOC grew up in is well off, leafy and manicured. AOC went to elementary, middle, and high school here. She graduated from Yorktown High, where she went by the name Sandy Cortez. And then she graduated Boston University with an economics degree. Since AOC is about to run for president, we thought it would be important to investigate the town that gave America its most famous communist.
This is not the Bronx. As you can see here, this is the leafy, beautiful Parkway suburbs. Is that a golf course? Oh, it's gorgeous. What a pleasant and wonderful drive. I feel like I'm on my way to Pleasantville. Very much looking forward to finding out where AOC's from.
After a 90-minute drive from New York City, we finally got to Yorktown Heights. Check out this beautiful entry to the city. Trees lining the road, some mansions, some beautifully manicured lawns, American flags. This looks like an awesome place to be from. You get out of the car and you find something like this.
Welcome to the capitalist horrors of AOC's Yorktown Heights Patriot State Park. You can see here a Veterans Memorial Circle that's been beautifully tended and groomed with a lot of American flags and a lot of honor for our great nation. Really, just a terrifying place to grow up here. I hear that there are miles of luscious trails going through the forest here. Boy, you can understand why you'd become a communist growing up in a hood like this. Capitalist swine trying to sell me rhubarb at this beautiful Meadows Farm farmers market that, like, you can smell it. They just want my money, my capitalist dollars. I'm not gonna let them do it, because I'm an angry Marxist, right? This is what black pills someone like AOC, right? The fresh pies, the fresh fruit and vegetables. You know, could you imagine growing up like this? Hell on earth. Have they ever tried to apologize to AOC? Look at that. No trash, no graffiti, yellow school buses. Disgusting, okay? So safe, so clean. AOC grew up here. Now you can understand okay, you can understand where the radicalization comes from. It's too nice. Look at that, beautiful. That flagpole right there just makes your blood boil. Let's see what new horrors await us around the corner. This is where AOC got the idea for the Green New Deal. That's what we'd all be driving in if AOC got her way. Do you understand? She grew up with the horse and buggy. That's what she wants us to go back to. Get it? Gotta think like her. So depressing. With my made from scratch cinnamon rolls, my ice cream. Thank you. What a terrible life. I hate capitalism. So angry. This is hell. We must destroy America and capitalism. Oh, don't worry. There's a secret, adorable patio that we missed, a luscious green oasis hamlet back here that we happened to miss while we were rage eating our ice cream. Look how beautiful this is. Yo, what's up, man? How you doing? We got subscribers in AOC's hometown. Look.
We got a bunch, we actually had a number of people reach out as we did a few interviews there at the end of the video. I encourage you please to go and watch it. And that's about a third of the video. We went and showed AOC's, the home that she grew up in. We checked in with AOC's neighbors, who have a Trump sign in their yard, by the way. The house right across from AOC's childhood home has a massive Trump sign in it. Guys with MAGA hats stopping us in the middle of the road to come out and chat with us. Tell us all the stories about AOC. Turns out that she was a bully in high school. Isn't that square? That she was really mean and nasty. She was one of the mean girls. And that a lot of people, you can see here, there you go. Prestigious, Ocasio-Cortez says, won a prestigious science fair prize for research involving free radicals. Wow. And that's what she wants to do in New York, free all the radicals. That is exactly what's going on with the New York mayoral race, and we'll talk about that in just a second because, wow, boy howdy, Zohran Mamdani, who is of the same party as AOC. They're both Democrat Socialists of America, right? This is the same party. The DSA is who ran AOC, and they're the people who are running now the soon-to-be mayor of New York, unless somebody can pull off a miracle. AOC, man. Look at this was, by the way, when she was named Sandy. Look at this. Look at this photo. It's fun. Can we zoom in on this? This is before. This is Sandy. This is before she was AOC. This is when she was Sandy. AOC's entire life is a lie. I just want to finish here by explaining that these people are total frauds. They sit there and they yap constantly about embracing your identity, being who you are, making sure that the people who are underserved or who are forgotten in America are seen. Well, you know who's forgotten in America? People like in Yorktown Heights. Like small town America, who just barely gets by and gets crushed by inflationary policies and Green New Deal policies. Those are the people who actually get crushed. Sandy refuses to acknowledge where she's actually from. Come out of the closet, AOC. Embrace who you are. AOC, your childhood home is worth $500,000. It's a lot more expensive than my childhood home, I promise you that. According to today's valuation, we looked it up. I'm not going to dox anyone's address here. But we looked it up, and we drove right by her childhood home. It's in the video. It's worth $500,000. That's the kind of home that AOC grew up in. Embrace who you are. You're not some Jenny from the block, skis girl, all right, raised in the gutter. The town that built you is a perfect, beautiful slice of Americana. Everything that's good about this country, it's patriotic, it's stable, it's safe, it's clean. This town gave you the capacity to be who you are today. The luxuries of being a champagne socialist, the luxuries of being a capitalist communist. Okay? Remember, AOC sells sweatshirts that says tax the rich, and the sweatshirts are $80 a pop. Okay? She doesn't give them away for free. No. Ladies and gentlemen, AOC is the one who's lying about her identity. She was raised as a privileged entitled, wealthy, little suburban white girl. Embrace your identity, AOC, right? It's everything that she hates. But you see, to do that, AOC would have to fight the toughest political battle of all, the battle against herself and the facade and lies that she's built up around herself for her entire political career.
I'm a girl from the Bronx.
That would be the toughest battle of all, ladies and gentlemen. One final note here. AOC, who's no stranger to yapping on the internet, has been quiet as a mouse. In fact, we just checked her AOC account that has nearly 14 million subs on it. Boy, she hasn't posted in 2 full days. Isn't that strange for somebody who can't ever stop chirping? She was so loud last week, and wow, where'd she go? My entire timeline is AOC being called out as an elitist carpetbagger. It's almost like we got to her. It's like we literally destroyed her, ladies and gentlemen. AOC now getting very upset about this, and they know that this is a campaign killer. She plans on running for president in 2028. She doesn't have a good answer to this. She has no good answer. She tried to explain it away. It's very interesting, this post that Klein was just showing. She tried to explain it away. No, I totally did talk about where I'm from. I did, I promise you. I do, I talk about it. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not like we have the receipts. You don't. You say you were raised in the Bronx. That's your exact words. You say you're a Bronx girl. You said this week you're a Bronx girl and that you'd eat a Queen's boy for breakfast, chirping at Donald Trump. Boy, we shut that mouth, didn't we? And we all did it together. So I just want to say we did the thing that we thought was all impossible. All of us together. We did the impossible, which is to shut up AOC. Cheers for us. All right. It's crazy. It's crazy that she hasn't responded to us. It's crazy. This is AOC bait, baby. AOC bait. Okay, we're going to talk about the communist mayor of New York City in just a moment. First, ladies and gentlemen, American financing. You know, the communist mayor of AOC, the communist mayor, soon to be mayor of New York, is planning on taxing white people more than anyone else. Whew. I think it's going to be very, very bad for the finances of those in New York. Get ready for total and complete societal collapse. But you shouldn't be collapsed wherever you live. Even if you live in New York, my friends at American Financing can help you get back on your feet if you happen to find yourself, like so many other American families, deep into debt. The credit card debt is out of control in this nation. What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments and pay off your credit card debt? My friends at American Financing are fixing the financial problems in this country that are plaguing good, hardworking American families, the actual hardworking American families. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards. Doesn't have to be that way. Even though there seems like there's no way out, there actually is. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off your debt. All you need to do is call American Financing today before you get to the point where you can't make any payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate their debt. No upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. It's like a $1,000 raise per month. It's fast and it's simple, and it can save your budget for the summer. Call now before it's too late. 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219 at AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, more Zohran Mamdani. Let's chat about it. He decided to take our reporting last week. We did a lot of reporting last week. Goodness, ALX and Klein, we were all over the place. We spoke with, and we were the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice. I said, is it legal to tax people based on their skin color? It seems a little crazy because we read that AOC's best friend, somebody that she campaigned with, Zohran Mamdani, plans to tax white people more. Boy, the statement was wild. ALX, can I please get that re-upped, please? The statement from Harmeet Dillon was very interesting. She said, of course, this is illegal and will be a... There it is. Thank you. Racial discrimination is illegal in the United States. I'm reading you a quote given to us from Harmeet Dillon. She's the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the DOJ. Period. Full stop. The illegal discriminatory scheme described by Mamdani would violate federal constitutional and statutory norms and might violate New York law. Oh, boy. Goodness gracious. That flew, too. 1 million views on that, 16,000 reposts, 54,000 likes. Okay. Well, it seems like if you effed around, you still got to find out. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Zohran deciding that he's going to actually double down on taxing white people. Please, let's continue with this bold strategy, Cotton. See how it plays out for you.
And realize there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed. We've seen time and again that this is a property tax system that is inequitable. It's one that actually Eric Adams ran on saying that he would change in the first 100 days. He's since sought to defend it and lost at every juncture in court.
And I understand you're saying we're simply describing the types of neighborhoods that would see these increase in taxes, and yet by invoking race, do you run the risk of potentially alienating key constituents?
I think I'm just naming things as they are. And ultimately, the thing that motivates me in this is to create a system of fairness. It is not to work backwards from a racial assessment of neighborhoods or our city. Rather, it's to ensure that we actually have an equal playing field. And right now, what we see with the property tax system is one that is overtaxing a number of New Yorkers and undertaxing others, and an inability of political will to resolve that.
So no plans to change that language on your website?
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
All right.
Cool, bro. Let's see how that works out for you. We got some friends at the DOJ. They are very interested in this because, of course, taxing people based on their skin color, especially when it's explicitly stated on his damn website. And here it is. Right here, let's read the actual website language, shall we? Whiter neighborhoods is the terminology used on the dude's website. Mamdani, dubbed the Fidel Castro of New York, is planning to soak the rich based on, and I quote, richer and whiter neighborhoods will be taxed more. Dude, I don't know, man. What do you think here? Is it? That's a great. The Price is White. Look at that. That's a great cover. You scroll down to the New York Post cover. That's perfect. What do you think here? Like, I don't gotta. Where I'm living is getting redder. Where we're living, this county is called Hillsborough County here. It's Tampa, Florida. It flipped red this year, and that trend is gonna stay for the rest of my life. I'm sure of that. That's happening all over the state of Florida. That's where I decided to move my family. Do we just abandon our great American cities? Do we just let this happen? Obviously, you can sue them, you could put them in prison for this and many other. Obviously, there's other problems with the guy's background. Andy Ogles was on the program last week, said that he was joining communist clubs while he was trying to become a naturalized American citizen, lying on his naturalization forms, calling for denaturalization. That'd be interesting. But, do we just, abandon Chicago? Do we abandon LA? Do we abandon New York? I would argue no. Quite thrivingly. The reason why is because they're our cities. They don't belong to these people. These people are parasites. I love what President Trump did to save LA, the future of the country. The battle will be fought on the streets of LA. Because LA is patient zero for everything they want to do for everywhere else in the nation. If we let them take LA, they won't stop. These people are cancer. So we've got to shut it down. And sometimes that takes pain. There's pain you saw in LA. A lot of people getting shot in the balls, honestly, by rubber bullets. We've covered that. It's pretty amazing. I really do want to ask. Maybe we'll ask Tom Homan. Tom Homan will be on the show. This is a perfect time to ask Tom Homan. Are they aiming for the nuts? We don't know. But we do know this, that you can't just give up on your countrymen. And so maybe there does need to be like some short-term pain. Maybe the people of New York need to actually see what it looks like when every billionaire leaves. Every single one of them comes to Florida, and every business leaves. And the skyscrapers start crumbling downtown. Maybe that's what must happen for these kind of things to change. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. But I do know this. This ain't the talk. This is not the talk of any red-blooded American. Here's Zohran saying, no more billionaires.
You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, no billionaires. Billionaires should be illegal. Boy, where have I heard that before? Oh, yeah, the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. Where have I heard this before? Oh, yeah, Maoist China. Fidel Castro. It's incredible that is happening here. Donald Trump, of course, going hard in the paint. Here we go.
What did you make of the New York Democrat primary? Mamdani.
He's a communist. I think it's very bad for New York. I don't know that he's going to get in. It's inconceivable that but he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. I think he admits it. But I can't imagine it. But let's say this. If he does get in, I'm going to be president, and he's going to have to do the right thing, or they're not getting any money. He's got to do the right thing. It's shocking that I would have assumed that I used to say we will never have a socialist in this country. No, but we'll have a communist. I mean, he's a communist and going to be mayor of New York. So I was very surprised when I said, I never heard of him. I don't know who he is.
Well, he said he's going to fight ICE. He's not going to allow ICE to...
He'll be very unsuccessful.
And he said if Benjamin Netanyahu comes to New York, he's going to have him arrested.
Oh, he's a radical left lunatic.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is somebody who can comment on these issues, given the fact that, well, he has to work in the same building as so many of the AOC squad members. He has to manage that left wing of the House and of the political ecosystem, and he's done a damn fine job doing it. Straight from the fields of Arkansas, but now residing, ladies and gentlemen, in Washington, D.C., somebody who served President Trump as deputy press secretary, somebody who's currently senior communication advisor to Speaker Mike Johnson. The great Hogan Gidley joins the show now. Ah, yes, Hogan. Very exciting times today to be working in your profession, because it's kind of like duck hunting, right? When on a really good day when there's just too many targets, and it's a target-rich environment, man. We decided to have a little bit of fun with AOC this past weekend and expose her for the fraud that she is. That's since gone viral. I think we're going to do a whole series of squad members, actually. I think the next will be Jasmine Crockett. Would you recommend that, Hogan?
Of course. It's long been my contention that the more of Jasmine Crockett, the more we have of AOC, the better off our party is going to be, because the American people get to see that jarring juxtaposition of policies that clearly improve the lives of all Americans, regardless of race, religion, color, or creed, or the raving lunacy from so many on the left who have now gravitated toward the issues that 20% at most in this country actually like. I mean, just from a political, pragmatic standpoint, you'd think sooner or later they would say, hey, you know what? Let's try and meet the voters where they are. Nope. They're just doubling down on dumb, and it's going to be a real problem for them in upcoming elections.
You know, it's interesting because, they are the Democrat Party. It's all I ever see in my timeline, man. I mean, maybe I live in a bubble, but all I ever see is Ilhan Omar, Jasmine Crockett, Rashida Tlaib, AOC. That's it. I don't hear about any Democrats. You never hear anything from Hakeem Jeffries. It's just them chirping. And I say give it to them, you know?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And every time someone on the House side says we should, we don't, I hate that their voice is out there. I'm like, no, that needs to be out there because you need to understand your opponent. And your opponent on the Democrat side right now is clearly focused and fixated on leaving the border wide open. They don't care if your taxes go up. They're voting against the big, beautiful bill that's got no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. So they want the working man and woman to not take home more of their own money. They sure don't care about energy exploration that made us the world's net exporter of energy. They don't care about more money for cops or ICE agents or Customs Border Protections. I mean, in fact, they call those folks Nazis. They call those folks members of the KKK. Now, again, this has always been so ridiculous to me because if you don't like Donald Trump as president, doing what the president of the United States is supposed to do, which is enforce the law, you can change the law. You're Congress. But they don't want to be on record doing that. They'd rather just lob insults, mock, and deride our side for actually doing the thing that the Constitution outlines us to do, which is enforce the law from the executive branch. And if the laws say you got to go home and you have to be deported, then by God, that's exactly what the president of the United States should be doing. So bravo to Trump. Already secured the border. No one's coming across. This big, beautiful bill has money for the wall, has money for these agents, as I mentioned, to keep the place safe along the southern border.
So I got a question for you, and it's just sort of I don't know, man, like rubber hits the road politics question. If you could just put on your campaign hat for a second. And my question is this. Here's a photo of Sandy. Sandy's a girl who was raised in a wealthy, beautiful, safe, clean, white neighborhood inside of a very dignified Westchester, leafy county. And Sandy has decided that she wants to be a communist from the Bronx. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't quite know how to tell that story because her upbringing doesn't really align with that. Would you recommend that she run as a communist from the Bronx? Because eventually you're going to get called out like Kamala Harris saying she worked the fries at McDonald's, which is exactly what's happening right now.
Well, your segment notwithstanding, which was brilliant, by the way, and pointed to kind of some of the hypocrisies here. Why would you do that, Benny? If the media is not going to call you out for it, they're going to continue to push your lie and push your narrative, just like Joe Biden is the most brilliant president we've ever had. He's been in office for half of a century. He's not sick. He clearly is doing triathlons behind the scenes. How dare you think he's not physically or mentally up to this job? They're going to cover for her. They're going to carry her water. How she wants to run and how she wants to package herself. I mean, she's already put out all these videos like the high-minded AOC, as high as that can go. There's a low ceiling, but still she tries to do that and then say, look, I'm going to maybe run for president one day. And by the way, I'm here to tell you, don't mock it. Remember, they mocked Trump. He could never run for president. When he did, it was a joke. And then he won the nomination, won the presidency. I'm telling you, they're looking to people like AOC, those young, fresh faces, to really bring the party into the new era. The problem is what they're talking about has been tried and has been proven to fail time and time again. They still continue to embrace it because, it hadn't been done the way they want it to be done. That's the real issue, of course. But AOC, again, I say more of it. Do it.
Yeah, I think it's going to backfire, like the Kamala fries. I think it's going to be I think it's pretty obvious to everybody. But she keeps chirping that she's a Bronx girl, but she's not, man. I mean, she was raised an absolute elitist in a place that you should be very proud of. But it's really weird. Could you just final question on this? Can you explain what is that pathology? Right? Like you have an enviable upbringing. Why does every Democrat have to dumb down and act as though they're from the gutter, right? Right. And no hate, okay? Like everyone's from where they're from. Yeah. I went to community college, all right? But what is that pathology? Why can't people just own it? I thought they were all about identity. Well, and accepting who they are. Isn't that it seems very strange.
Yeah, but no. I mean, there's a great study by Yale years ago that said when Democrats get in front of crowds, they change the affect of their voice, whereas Republicans don't. And we know it today as code switching. We saw Kamala Harris do it. We've seen AOC do it a bunch. She talks differently in front of different crowds. So it makes sense that as she is kind of getting into this and a little bit lesser known, then all of a sudden she blew up. She wants to create her own narrative about where she's from. But it's the same with this guy from New York who just got the Democrat nomination for mayor, trying to pretend as though he's, from the slums. His parents, his mom, was a movie mogul, for heaven's sake. Like, what are you talking about? But they like to try. And look, and I'll tell you, you'll remember this. Remember Mitt Romney, those days when he was the nominee. We had to all suck it up and work for Mitt Romney and try to promote him. He was like, no, I'm not really wealthy. You don't understand. He had car elevators and a dancing horse named Rafalka, and he didn't own it. Trump comes down a golden escalator in his building and goes, you better believe I'm rich, and I want everyone else to be rich, and here's how I'm going to help you do it. He embraced what he was. These folks on the Democrat side, for some reason, they want to paint some narrative that isn't real. It's just fake, and it's phony, and it should tell you so much about their policies as well.
So the policies, wildly, are... Oh, I think we might have actually a photo of Falca. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Very good. This is here. Here you go. Well, why didn't you could have just owned it? He probably would have still lost, but you could have just owned it.
So good. So good.
Okay. What? Oh, thank God for Donald Trump. Oh, that was our party not too long ago.
That's right.
Okay. So the party of the Democrats today, you have this. You have Zohran Mamdani, who's the same, by the way, he's DSA. He's the same party as AOC is from, right? So it's the same so it's the same party. Mm-hmm. And he's saying, not only am I going to tax white neighborhoods more, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do even more of that, right? I'm going to find the whitest of people, right? I'm going to make sure there's going to be a little card. So like the Peter Griffin meme, there's going to be a little card to see what your tax rate is. And if you're way up here this white, you're going to pay a lot of taxes. Seems patently illegal. Seems like something that obviously is a violation of, many statutes in the Civil Rights Code. Should we be expecting perhaps investigations into this? Because he's doubling and tripling down.
I would hope so. It's just so widely accepted by members of his party. As I said, they're going to cover for him. They're going to carry his water. But it's clearly, this is kind of where the universities ran into some problems, right? When you're overtly saying, we're going to favor one group over the other, that's a problem. Now, this thing in New York is interesting because, as you know, a majority of his voters were white, rich elitists. No one else voted for him. Now he's coming back and trying to gain some of the poorer middle-class folks by saying, I'm going to tax the white wealthy people. Okay, but then are the white wealthy people that self-loathing to say sure? Or are they going to say, no, hold on, that's a bridge too far. Of course, you as the candidate, us as the white elitists, none of the things you're talking about apply to us anyway, of course, naturally. So let's just focus on the poor and the middle class and push them further down. I just don't know. I don't know where that goes and how that kind of, I'm looking for this third party candidate. I'm looking at Eric Adams. I'm looking to see if Cuomo makes another run as an independent as well. So I don't know, but it's that, what's the quote from H.L. Mencken that's so good about that democracy is the idea that the common people know what they want and they deserve to get it good and hard? Well, the people in New York, they're going to get some of that sweet, sweet democracy good and hard if they elect this guy, and they're going to be in a whole lot of trouble moving forward.
I know on some level it's so useful.
Yeah.
It's such a caricature. It's so useful. Here's the quote. Democracy is the theory that the common people know exactly what they want and they deserve to get it good and hard.
There you go.
Jill Mencken. Okay. So let's talk about someone who is probably going to get it from this program because we're going to go to her district next. Jasmine Crockett is up with a clip. I've never seen Trump do this. He just posted a clip. No commentary, just a clip. Here it is. Since you have to work with her every single day, I wanted to just get your comment on this. Here's Jasmine explaining the strike in Iran from our president. Here we go.
And to understand enough about the Constitution to the extent that I'm the one that's supposed to make a fucking decision or at least get a vote. literally, like,
So literally, like, this clip taken directly from World Star. We wanted to sort of get your thought on this. Like, wow, interesting. Is she right here, Hogan?
Well,
is she the one to get the effing vote? Like literally,
literally, like there's like a thing with like literally more code switching. You see her with her voice and her affect completely different than it is when she's doing other interviews. It's fine.
Exactly
right.
Into
the crowd, I get it. But also she's just completely wrong and false. And again, I haven't heard her say anything to the effect. I don't think she was in Congress then, but still, Congress didn't have a problem with Barack Obama waging a bombing campaign or Joe Biden bombing a family. He told us we're terrorists. We found out they weren't. It's a bunch of kids. No one said a word about that. Bill Clinton famously bombed an aspirin factory, waged war for a while. No one said anything about that. There's even some question, actually, from constitutional scholars, whether the war powers that fall under Congress is constitutional at all, because it falls under the commander in chief, the president of the United States. So a lot of these questions at play, but I'm not going to take any advice, and I'm sure not going to take any constitutional knowledge away from a conversation with Jasmine Crockett.
What about AOC? AOC says that she's going to impeach Trump because he blew up Iran's nuclear capacity. Your thoughts on that? Does Mike Johnson agree with that?
Again, what? I don't know what any of that means. AOC should know better than that. But again, I think they're playing a part. It's not that they really believe this kind of junk, because they didn't have a word to say about it when Joe Biden was president. It's so obviously hypocrisy. It's not stunning, but it really is kind of unbelievably weird that they would think we can't notice this in real time, that they don't have other diametrically opposed positions on camera from just a few short months ago. Remember, we're 6 months into this administration. I guess 5, January toward the end. We're not half a year in. And all of a sudden, all of these concerns about the Constitution are popping up. Like Joe Biden, who didn't care what the Supreme Court had to say. He was just going to try and give away, college tuition, making people who didn't go to college pay for those who did. Like no one cared about that. Obviously, all of his bombing campaigns, as I mentioned before, Barack Obama famously with the drones. It just is insanity that these people think we don't know what's going on here, but they continue to pretend as though there's no way back machine. There's no Google. There's no YouTube. It's nuts.
We found out where AOC was from on Wikipedia, man. It's really not hard. Okay, the global media of the world lives in New York. Anyone could have done this story. We had to fly up there and do it, ourselves. But whatever. Thank you actually for just leaving that out there. It's it is a target-rich environment. It does seem there's so much to fight on the other side, but Republicans continue to fight themselves. Can't even pass a rescission package to defund NPR PBS. I want to talk a little bit about that and the big, beautiful bill, where the landscape looks. Obviously, you did a great job. Speaker Johnson's office, everyone was cheering that Doge cuts finally got enacted. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about those first, Hogan. Where are those in the Senate?
Well, it's everything from the Gulf of America to, as you point out, the cuts to NPR, PBS. House passed them, and they went to the Senate side. So, in a year's time, when everyone's like, wait a minute, where are the Doge cuts? I can't believe the House did. No. The House did its job and got them over to the Senate. It's up to the Senate now to pass them, to get these things enacted. Simple, low-hanging fruit. We know these two entities, for example, are propaganda arms of the left. It has been proven time and time again. So what's the issue? These are questions and concerns I think a lot of constituents have, because remember, the House Republicans, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and the Senate Republicans all ran on and won on ending fraud, waste, and abuse in the federal government. Now, is this stopping all of it? No, but these Doge cuts, which were eye-opening, eye-popping to a lot of folks, need to be enacted in order to claw back some of that money that's being used for propaganda. And I don't remember if we talked about this or not, but you remember when all the algorithms on Facebook, as you know, you're a digital genius, the algorithms on Twitter, every time they had a mistake or there was a glitch, it always glitched against conservative voices. Did you notice when they started looking at USAID and other things in the government, there was not a single dollar that went to pro-Second Amendment groups or pro-life groups. All the money cut one way to all of the leftist causes. And so now that we actually have the power, the levers of power to do the things to make this right, you got to have these chambers come together and say, all right, you guys elected us to do this. Now we need to do it. And so it takes pressure from the outside, your group, your audience. Ping your senator and be like, guys, we voted for you because we thought you would enact these type of cuts because we're sick and tired of using our tax dollars for crazy radical ideologies, not just here in this country, which is bad enough, but all over the world too. Stop it.
No, nobody's explained to me like how a Republican can vote for NPR funding. No one. Like no one's like explained. I don't know. Like I don't know if Mike Rogers wants a show on there or what, but like nobody's explained that to me. I can't figure it out.
Maybe they just like the tones of NPR. Maybe it's all things considered.
Really quickly here, Hogan. Big Beautiful Bill was all the news this weekend. Can you give us a quick update?
Yeah, moving forward really quickly. Looks like the Senate could vote on it by late tonight, maybe midnight or into the early morning hours. Goes back to the House. We'll see what they say. I know that there are plenty of people on the House side that are concerned about some of the things the Senate did, but understand this bill still is about 85% of what was sent over from the House side. Senate made its tweaks, made its changes. So when it comes back, in order to get this thing accomplished for the president before the 4th, probably going to have a vote by Wednesday or Thursday, maybe Friday morning at the latest to get this accomplished. But rest assured, if this thing does pass before the 4th, you know, and I know, because you know him, that party at the White House on July 4th on that South Lawn, he's going to do something big around that bill. I could see him signing it just hours before the fireworks, or maybe even during the fireworks, because he understands the aesthetic of him signing the big, beautiful bill while big, beautiful fireworks are going off in the background.
That's amazing. I'm viewing it. I'm like, yep, that's right. Okay, that'll be a perfect week.
Yeah,
because he comes down to Alligator Alley, Alligator
Yes.
Alcatraz, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And coming off of last week, I mean, one of the most successful weeks in presidential history, much less for Donald Trump.
Yep.
And then this week, potentially a big, beautiful bill. Come on.
Wild. And then signing the bill during the fireworks. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to vision cast for that, all right? We're going to manifest, Hogan. We're going to manifest, okay? We're just two country boys manifesting a fireworks signing of the big, beautiful bill. Godspeed, Hogan. We know you have your work cut out for you up there. Everybody needs to follow J. Hogan Gidley right here. Nearly 100,000 Americans already do. Make sure you're in there fighting for the people that fight for us. Godspeed, Hogan.
Thank you much, Benny. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, somebody who knows New York like the back of his hand, somebody who's served as the New York Council, former New York City Council. Is that the correct title? Former New York City Council GOP is what I got in the script. Let's ask Joe Borelli, ladies and gentlemen, joining the show live. Joe, can you please explain here? I got former council, New York City GOP, former New York City Council GOP leader. There we go, from your Twitter bio. Got it. All right. Come on, producers. Let's go. Let's get Joe's title right. Joe, how you doing, man?
Living the dream, brother. Living the dream. Thanks for having me.
Are you a lifelong New Yorker?
Born and raised in the same zip code on Staten Island. My wife and I, this is our home.
You're okay. So you're not LARPing as like from somewhere else. You weren't raised like in Connecticut inside of like a leafy suburb, and you're just fake being a New Yorker.
No, but I mean, Staten Island is basically the suburbs, but it is still part of New York City. I have like a bass pond behind my house and like 12 miles of mountain bike path and stuff like that. So it's pretty good over here.
My man. Okay, so Staten Island is Republican though, which is interesting. Yeah, this is Trump country, right?
Yeah, very much. I mean, Donald Trump and Trump Sr., his father, Fred, used to own buildings on Staten Island. He grew up, he tells a great story to us about how he used to empty the vending machines in some of the apartment buildings on Staten Island. And he has a deep connection here, and we're happy to host him whenever he comes back.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I wonder what's going to happen next. I think that President Trump has already taken a couple shots across the bow at Zohran Mamdani. This is going to be a pretty wild run for New York. Can you set the table for us? Like, is this guy got a chance of winning? The betting markets say he's odds on.
Well, it's 6-1 Democrat to Republican enrollment in New York City. So, I mean, he is on paper the odds-on favorite. The reality is, let's talk about who he is first. He's someone who was a backbench member of the state assembly. Now, the New York State Assembly is what we would normally consider a radical progressive legislative body. It's one of the most progressive legislative bodies in the country. He was a backbencher because he was too far left, even for the leadership of the state assembly. He was considered a socialist. He was someone who didn't really pass any bills because the bills he would introduce were like, seizing the means of productions and stuff like that. Most liberals just want to pay lip service to socialism. This guy really wants to implement a great day for the socialist majority of New York City, minority of New York City. So he runs for mayor. He runs, in fairness, one of the most effective campaigns I have ever seen. He really was a brilliant campaigner. He used new social media techniques. He used old school things like just knocking on doors and walking around neighborhoods, things that his primary opponent, Andrew Cuomo, didn't do, right? Andrew Cuomo didn't go to a single debate, stayed locked up in his ivory tower, is not even living in New York City. He moved in right before he had to, before the deadline. So Mamdani runs a very effective campaign. And now, because of the collapse of Cuomo, who's bad for his own right, that's the subject of a whole other episode. But because of the collapse of Cuomo and the other zilches who ran the primary, now we have this guy, Zohran, who's probably going to win the mayorship, unfortunately.
So, we've never met, but you seem like a pretty nice person. You also happen to, as I'm looking at you, you seem to be a white person, and it seems like you might get taxed more. And, I'm not trying to make any assumptions here, but given the fact that Zohran Mamdani is just going to tax people based on what they look like, here is the price is white. He doubled down on this weekend, saying he's not going to remove the policy, that he does plan on taxing whiter neighborhoods more. What do you think about that as a white New Yorker?
Well, let's talk about why it's stupid for so many reasons, right? It is stupid because this is just a rehashing of a proposal that's long been advocated by a lot of people in New York City, just without racial terms. You take neighborhoods in Park Slope and Williamsburg, the places where they make rom-com movies and where everyone wears a keffiyeh and has a Palestinian flag. You take those neighborhoods, and those are the ones who are going to get killed by Zohran's property tax increase. And that's the problem, is that those neighborhoods are filled with what they would consider white gentrifiers. But that's the only New York Zohran is even aware of. That's the only New York he even considers. He's unaware that there is a grand swath of outer borough, middle-class, regular New Yorkers, white, Black, Hispanic, that live in Eastern Queens and where I'm from in Staten Island and the Northern Bronx, that actually benefit from his tax proposal. They would actually benefit. And yet he can't get around to even saying, hey, we're just going to equalize the property tax system. It might be a great thing. He has to frame things in a racist messaging idea where it's not that taxes are unequal for certain people and we should equalize them, right? It's that a lot of rich white people are paying too little. That's the really fundamental problem with the way he sees the world. It's really the way he views New York and how it operates. That is his fundamental problem. This is a guy who's been, by the way, on the wrong side of every single issue that made a New York headline over the past 5 or 6 years since he got elected to office. Literally everything you'd see on Fox News or whatever, talking about how crazy New York is with this law or that law. He's been on the wrong side of every single one of them. And now this is included in that list just because he only frames it in racist terms.
It does seem like such a regressive way and such an illegal way to view the populace. And it's obviously subject to civil rights review. Harmeet Dillon saying that this is patently illegal. And if he continues with it, that he's going to be facing potentially a DOJ prosecution. You can't just tax people because of their skin color.
No, and he should face that.
It's insane, but this is what New York City voted for. So this is my major question, because it doesn't actually affect me, right? It does, because New York City is the empire city and the empire state, and it should be something great, and the entire world should look at New York City as a beacon on a hill. It is America's largest and most prominent and famous city. I don't want to see it destroyed, man. But I guess this is a question for you, since you live there. Does it have to be destroyed? Does the people of New York have to suffer from this, good and hard, in order for it to change, like the way that you get a Rudy Giuliani, right? Like New York City had to descend into madness. Is this the cycle that your city unfortunately has to go through, or is there a way out?
Yeah, I think that's a great way of framing it. Look, Rudy Giuliani ran the first time 4 years before he was elected and didn't win because the city wasn't as in a dire situation as it was after 4 years of David Dinkins. It took 4 years of doubling down on bad policies to allow a Republican, a conservative, to actually win the mayoralty of this fundamentally liberal city. That's what you're seeing now. You know, and I hate to compare him to Bill de Blasio, but if you look at Bill de Blasio's reelection, the reason why Bill de Blasio kind of won is because things didn't really get that bad that quickly. Things just kind of petered out and didn't get too aggressively, crime oriented. We didn't see that stuff happen until the end of Bill de Blasio's term when the pandemic sort of accelerated that. Now you've had 4 years of Eric Adams, good or bad, right? But things have, maybe gotten better in some things, maybe got better in another thing. But New Yorkers are similarly faced with their backs against the wall by someone who is so fundamentally hell-bent on changing this city for the worst. Again, he ran a great campaign, and he talked about issues that actually mattered to New Yorkers: the affordability, the cost of living, the idea that you can't really afford to raise your family here. All that resonates with people. The problem is his solutions only expand these problems and propagate them for the next generation. He is a fundamentally flawed person because of his ideas. So I think because New Yorkers are going to have their back against the wall, there is a chance. The second question you should ask is, who is the person who can beat him? Because now we have a situation where Andrew Cuomo refuses to get out of the race. You have a situation where the Republicans are running Curtis Lewa, and we have Eric Adams running as an independent. And I would hope that Cuomo got beaten so bad that he would reconsider even running. And apparently, labor unions are fleeing from him. Billionaires are fleeing from him. So it's unclear who he's going to have in his corner without labor union providing the labor and billionaires supplying the money. I really hope that whatever the first couple of polls show, if Eric Adams has a real shot at beating Zohran Mamdani, I hope Republicans coalesce around him. Frankly, I want to see him win over Zohran Mamdani. Likewise, if Curtis Lewa really has the poll numbers to justify people supporting him, I think we should get behind him. But one of those two men has to get out of the race for the good of New York City.
Final question for you. Let's say that he does win. What happens to the city? It's not like guarantee. Anybody who knows, right? And we're very close with the mayor of Miami. We're very close with a number of people who have run some pretty big companies like that have moved to the Miami area. Everybody who knows that Wall Street's like a ghost town now. Most of Wall Street has gone digital and has moved to Palm Beach or the Brickell. And there's no such thing as like guaranteed industries that are going to stay in your city or in your state. There's no such thing as a permanent blue state. There's no such thing as a permanent red state.
Look, I mean,
and so like what happened? I mean, do you perceive that we're gonna like have a reversion to like 1970s New York City, like empty skyscrapers, like empty buildings, sort of?
Yes and no. I mean,
post-apocalyptic.
Francis Suarez is a friend of mine also, great guy. Scott Singer, the mayor of Boca Raton, just on the front page of the Post today, talking about how people should relocate to Florida. But that is the net result of what will happen. If you start taxing people to oblivion and then not provide them with some sort of premium that makes it worth staying. See, that was the secret of Bloomberg. Bloomberg still governed a high-tax city, but the city was well-run, and people were willing to pay a premium to be here and be part of New York. That equation no longer is valid. So you're going to see more flight. I'll be on a plane to Naples, Florida at 6 a.m. tomorrow because that's where we have our second house. I am one of those people, right? But yeah, that is the net result, is that capital and residents will continue to flee New York City. It won't be quick, but New York does lead the pack already in out-migration, and Zohran will certainly be the best real estate salesperson for the South Florida, for Georgia, for Texas, and everywhere in between.
Oh man, it's tough. It's really tough to see. Again, like the people get what they. Yeah, it's like, dude, you get what you vote for. This is wild. These images of New York in the 70s, where it looks just post-apocalyptic, and it looks like the front lines of any war zone. You'd hate to see it revert to this, but it's kind of almost a guarantee. If you give people zero benefits for living in the city, they're going to come down to other great. There are a lot of great American cities, a huge country. They're just going to move, man, and it sucks. We were just in the Bronx just want to end with this. We were in the Bronx. We went viral this weekend by sort of exposing where AOC is from.
Yeah.
Totally fraudulent, man. Like, she
I wore my Westchester Country Club shirt just for this reason.
Yo, she's from a beautiful place. Why would you be so ashamed of where you're from? It's clean. It's nice. Can you talk to me about the pathology there on the left? Like, why do they always have to be from? Why do they always have to lie about where they're from? Like, find me a Democrat that hasn't said some type of like lie about their story and tried to deceive, whether it's Kamala at McDonald's or whether it's Hillary Clinton's entire young life was clearly fraudulent. You know, what is this pathology, man? Why can't these people just embrace their identity, right?
Because they lionize victimhood. So you can't grow up in a wonderful place like Yorktown Heights in Westchester, right, and still play a victim. I mean, Yorktown Heights was where like we would play football against teams from there, from like, you know, northern Westchester County. And those were the places where all the dads would like get their kids, like all the high-end coaching and special things, and they'd run over us. Like Westchester County is the archetype of the American suburb. Like it is where Robert Moses built. Like this is the Dick Van Dyke Show was filmed in Westchester County. I mean, this is how, you know, archetypical American suburb you can possibly be. This is the whitest place on planet Earth. Like when you think about it. And yet that just wasn't part of the story they had to create about AOC. They had to create this victim mentality, which is lionized by the Democratic Party. And unfortunately, people just spoon it up, just like Zohran Mamdani. He's born to, you know, Ugandan billionaires. He just got married in Dubai. Like I didn't get married. I got married in a Mexican all-inclusive, right? This guy's getting, married in Dubai. And he wants to be like this platinum card proletariat where it's just ridiculous.
It's such a great point. It's such a great point. I don't get it, man. I just embrace your roots. I don't see like why you would tell such an obvious lie. And it's not like she's saying that I live in the Bronx now. It's that she said multiple times on the record, much like Kamala Harris, like, I worked at McDonald's. You can prove that that's a lie. She said, I was raised in the Bronx. I was raised in the Bronx. I'm a Bronx girl. Just last week, she was chirping, chirp, chirp, chirp at Donald Trump. I'm a Bronx girl. I'm a Bronx girl. You don't know how to handle me. Like, lady, you're not a Bronx girl. You went from Westchester to Boston University for an economics degree. You won science projects. You won science projects, okay? Like, it's just such a fraudulent lie. I don't know why New Yorkers buy it, man.
I don't know. But look, she's been great for the Republican Party. And I think Zohran Mamdani is going to be great for the Republican Party too, because he is going to be, you mentioned it with Hogan earlier. It's a target rich environment. And this guy is going to be just stepping on rakes for the next 4 years. Unfortunately, I'm here for it because I'm going to be with the one foot in the bills. But it is going to be great for the Republican Party organizations in the Carolinas and Florida and everywhere who gets to say, look, we're not that. Because anything that's not that, it's probably going to do well over the next 4 years.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? Here's prayers up for you, man. Sounds like you got a little place in Florida anyway. So make sure that you have 1 foot out the door. Be careful. And please rejoin the show anytime, Joe, because, man, it'd be very interesting to hear updates. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes trained on this. Donald Trump obviously went berserker mode on Zohran this last weekend. So we look forward to that. Joe, thank you. And you're welcome back anytime. 60,000 Americans follow Joe on X. You should be one of them. He's one of the people holding it down in New York. We look forward to your mayoral run sometime soon, Joe.
Thank you so much.
My man. Ladies and gentlemen, very excited for our next guest on the program. Possibly the single most successful man in President Trump's administration. And that's saying a lot. We have a ton of friends who work in this administration, but nobody can say that they've done what Tom Homan has done. Tom Homan is, of course, President Trump's border czar. He's also the architect of the most successful Trump policy to date, with a zero, we're talking full goose egg, border crossings locked in last month. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us live now, border czar Tom Homan. Want to begin by saying congratulations, Mr. Borders-Czar. Zero, I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams, not in my lifetime or any lifetime of anyone watching, has seen the border crossings for criminal aliens at zero. Congratulations.
We got the most secure border in the history of the nation right now because of President Trump's leadership. I knew, we could quickly secure the border once we got back into power. But the speed that happened, in 7 weeks, we had border crossings down over 90%. That's unprecedented. So today we got the most secure border in history of the nation. And now we're concentrating on those who got through or were released the past 4 years, that we find them and remove them. So a lot of concentration right now in interior enforcement operations.
Just digging down one layer there, can you please explain that strategy? We have the numbers right here. Last year, there were 62,000 criminal aliens crossing in the exact same month. 365 days later, zero. How did this happen, Mr. Borders-Czar?
Because we're enforcing the law. We decided from day one, all you got to do is enforce the law. Look, Joe Biden could have done this if he just enforced the existing law. Catch and release. The federal statute clearly says if you arrive at our border and you don't have proper documentation to enter our country, you shall be detained. Not maybe, not think about it, release them to an NGO. No, you're going to be detained. What we did, we ended catch and release altogether. We put the third safe country agreement back in place. We got the Remain in Mexico. It was implemented within days. So we simply did what we did in Trump 45, except we did it quicker. We learned all the lessons from Trump 45, mistakes that were made, things we could have done better. So this time, it moved quicker, but we basically enforce law. The answer is enforce the law. You don't need Congress to pass a bunch of laws. It'd be great if they did to make it permanent so next president can't come in and undo it. But Joe Biden could have done this. All he had to do is enforce law. He didn't have to make this up. So that's how we did it. Everybody said, what's the secret? The secret is we enforce the law. We ended catch and release. We send a message to the whole world. You come to the United States illegally, you're not being released. If you want to claim asylum, fine. You wait in Mexico, claim asylum. When your hearing comes, you can have your hearing. But no longer are you going to release the United States to not show up in court. No longer are you going to be released in the United States to maybe show up in court, get order removal, which 90% of asylum seekers end up with an order removal. Then they're in the wind. You can't find them. We ended that. We have the most secure border in the history of this nation. And it's incredible how quick the men and women of the Border Patrol, I give them the credit. They're out there every day enforcing law. They're finally getting to do the job they took an oath to do, rather than processing people for release, taking them to the airport and sending them to their final destination at taxpayer expense. Those days are over.
Let's talk really quickly about the excellent agents of ICE. Turns out right now that CNN is pushing an app to track ICE agents to help criminal aliens evade being detained. We have the article up right here along with the clip. What's your response to CNN?
It's disgusting. I cannot believe we're in a world where the men and women who enforce the law are the bad guys, and one who broke the law, they're victims. And look, it's already a dangerous job. ICE agents are arresting the worst of the worst. President Trump committed from day one. We're going to concentrate our effort on public safety threats and national security threats. So right there, the job's already dangerous. But when you're out there tracking ICE movements and giving people heads up they're coming, that just puts the danger at a whole new level. It's only a matter of time for someone sits in hiding and waits for an ICE agent and tries to take them out. This is horrendous that a national media outlet will be out there trying to forecast law enforcement operations throughout the country. It's incredible where we're at as a nation, and I think DOJ needs to look at this and see if they're crossing that line. I think we need to send a strong message that we need to protect the law enforcement personnel.
You're accessory to murder. If you know that a crime is going to go on, you don't do anything to stop it. You assist in the evasion of the murderer and the criminal. You can be an accessory. You can go and do some real hard time. How does this not make CNN and everybody who does this, because there are other accounts that track ICE and try and rat on where ICE is and what they're doing? We saw the bricks, sticks, rocks, and Molotov cocktails being thrown at your agents to murder. It was intended murder. It was attempted murder, what we saw in LA. We have the footage. You can see it clear as day. It's attempted murder. Thankfully, many of them are arrested. But Mr. Homan, how is CNN not assisting an accessory to these crimes, these criminal aliens?
No, look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think, I'm not a prosecutor. I'm the borders are, but I think DOJ is looking at it. DOJ, we had, I think last count, over 600 arrests in LA. The federal government has prosecuted people for assaulting ICE agents. We prosecuted people for doxing agents. So DOJ is on top of this. So I think DOJ will come to the point where these people will be held accountable. It takes a little bit, but I know Pam Bondi's all over it. I know Kash Patel is actually working with ICE leadership to search for those people who put death threats, not only myself, but women of ICE. So they're all over it. And President Trump's leaning into it. And I met President Trump last week. He's given all available resources to hold these people accountable.
News broke yesterday evening, late in the evening, Mr. Bordazar, that President Trump will be personally visiting what is named Alligator Alcatraz, not too far from where we broadcast here in the state of Florida. Can you preview that for us? That's quite a deterrence. You talk about deterrence in your opening answer. Being surrounded by a bunch of alligators in a swamp, in a mosquito-infested Florida swamp, that's a hell of a deterrence right there.
Yeah, not only that, I think the cost of the facility is really reasonable, because even though we're asking for more money in the big beautiful bill, we're trying to spread that money as far and wide as we can to get in a decent bed rate, because we pay a lot for beds. And Governor DeSantis, let me give Governor a shout out for Governor DeSantis. From day one, he's been lockstep with us. I mean, he has required through legislation, state law, that every sheriff and chief of police work with ICE. They're not allowed, to walk away from us. I've said many times, well, we can send more resources to sanctuary cities like New York and less resources in Florida when we get every sheriff working with us in Florida. We don't have public safety threats being released from county jails every day in Florida. So where do we got to send more resources to New York City, where they're knowingly releasing public safety threats back in the community? So Governor DeSantis has been up front. He's the tip of the spear on all the governors helping. I mean, the Texas Governor Abbott's doing a great job. Governor DeSantis has been amazing, and they're building this with their funds. Of course, there'll be a reimbursement. The money that we used to give to NGOs and hotels, how these aliens at $500 a night being spent on Alligator Alcatraz is the right thing to do. And you're right, the near knowledge of these people being detained, that you can escape, try to escape, but it's not a real good idea. I mean, that just adds a stronger message to the whole world that you can't enter this country legally. It's a crime. If we catch you, you're going to be detained, you're going to be deported, and detention is going to be in places like Alligator Alcatraz and El Salvador and other countries that aren't so friendly. So we're going to do everything we can to send a strong message. It's not okay to break the laws of this country. We're going to hold you accountable.
I know that you've worked with President Trump for decades now. You've helped him architect this. You've been so loyal by his side. You know President Trump to be a man of his word. There was a 2019 New York Times article where Donald Trump floated the idea of putting alligators or crocodiles in the Rio Grande in order to prevent people from crossing the border. We remember that article because we thought it was a kick-ass idea. And now you're getting Donald Trump's dream is actually happening. The memes are incredible, by the way. This one's from Homeland Security. This is an official Homeland Security posted meme. This now goes into the congressional record as an official government document. Alligators with ICE hats on. Quite a timeline, Mr. Bordazar.
Yeah, and all the people that question, is going too far. I think all these people that question that need to remember what we dealt with the last 4 years. We that we know of, 10.5 million illegal aliens came to our border. Millions were released in the United States in violation of federal law. I remember what I said. In violation of federal law, they released millions into the country because they're playing the long game. They said, well, these millions of people will be future Democratic voters, or these millions of people will be counted in the next census. Remember, Joe Biden overturned the Trump census rule. They'll be counted next census, which means more seats in the House for the Dems. They sold this country off for future political power. I want people to remember the images of 15,000 people crossing the border in a day. Yes. Now we're down to less than 100, and zero are being released. Zero. You look at from January 20th to now, last year, Biden administration released over 260,000. What did we release? One, and that was a humanitarian case because I can't get in a specific case, but one compared to over 200,000. And I think since the beginning of the year, we released a total of 9 people. Here's what people need to know. 4 of them were material witnesses. We wanted them to be released to testify in the cartel hearings. 4, we had to call emergency medical transport because they're in such bad shape. But after they got treated, they were removed. One discretionary release since January 20th. And I can't get a specific of that case, but I'm aware of that case, and I agree 100% it had to be done. 1 compared to 250,000. That's what President Trump has done to our border. We're a sovereign nation. President Trump commits to protecting our sovereignty as a nation. And look at the crime rate dropping right now. Because we're concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats, crime rates are dropping. We looked at the numbers this morning. We're about over 130,000 illegal aliens arrested in the interior United States, vast majority being criminal. I see these media stories saying, the vast majority aren't criminal. It's garbage. If we arrest people, most of them are convicted criminals, or they're pending criminal charges, which means we found them in the county jail, which means they're probably not a choir boy. But the media keeps telling this false story. Every day we arrest a public safety threat from moving from the streets, makes that country safer again. Already, Iranian nationals arrested, we're nearly 100. So the men and women of ICE, patriots, they're doing exactly what President Trump said they're going to do. National security threats and public safety threats. This should be a nonpartisan issue. I don't care if you're a Democrat mayor, a Democrat city council person, a Democrat governor. Why would you not want public safety threats and national security threats removed from your community? That is your number one responsibility, is protecting communities. But they're putting politics over public safety. They hate Trump more than they love their communities. There's no other reason for it.
Profound statement. Your last answer, you brought up how many resources have to flood into New York to fix the nightmare that is New York City. And it seems like it's going to get worse, Mr. Borzar. Zohran Mamdani called you out by name and said that he will personally stop ICE from arresting criminal aliens in New York City. This was in his acceptance speech for the Democrat nomination for mayor. Your response to Zohran Mamdani?
Good luck with that. I mean, bottom line is we're not only going to double down, we're going to triple down in New York. Because I just said a few minutes ago, we know they're releasing public safety threats every day in New York City. We know they're releasing national security threats. So look, we know there's a problem there because we know what they're doing. So we're going to send more resources to New York City. So to him, I would say you're going to see a vast increase in the officers in your community. If we can't arrest a bad guy in the jail, if we can't arrest a bad guy in Rikers Island, you're going to release him in the community, then that's where we're going to send a workforce. But rather than one agent arresting one bad guy at Rikers Island, we got to send the whole team now to the community to find him. And we're going to send more teams. So if we can't get in the jails, we're going to flood the communities. And we're also going to flood work site. If we can't get them at their home, we'll get them at the work site. So sanctuary cities get exactly what they don't want. More agents in your community and more worksite enforcement operations. You could help us. You could let us in a county jail so one agent can arrest one bad guy in the safety and security of a county jail, which is safer for the alien, safer for the officer, much safer for the community. But if he thinks he's going to stop ICE enforcement operation, we'll see. Game on. But you're going to see us flood New York City.
The reason, of course, that this carries so much weight with it is because we watched members of Congress, Democrat members of Congress, LaMonica McIver is one of them, physically fight and assault your agents. These are elected representatives that were throwing elbows, pushing, shoving, clawing at your agents. It's all on TV. It's all on. We have the footage. We have the body cam footage from DHS. It's horrible. And then you see, of course, what happens in Los Angeles, where it seems like Democrat leadership was absolving and protecting the people who are trying to murder your agents. It's attempted murder when you throw a brick at a speeding ICE vehicle, obviously.
Well, look, I said from day one, Ben. I said from day one, you cannot like ICE, fine. You cannot support the president's policies, okay, fine, whatever, shame on you. But you can't cross the line. You can't cross the line on knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien. You can't cross the line of impeding a federal law enforcement officer in performance of his duties. You certainly can't cross the line and put your hands on an ICE officer. And as you can see, I wasn't bluffing. We are prosecuting a couple of judges. We are prosecuting members of Congress. We're prosecuting many members of the public. It's not a threat. It's a promise. You cross that line, you'll be prosecuted for 4 years. All you heard from the left was no one's above the law. President Trump's not above the law. Needs to be held accountable. Guess what? They're not above the law either. You cross that line, we're going to seek prosecution. Zero tolerance. You put a hand on an ICE officer, zero tolerance. We will seek prosecution. You'll be held to the highest standard. Because, you know, again, the most dangerous job is being a law enforcement officer. And it's even more dangerous when you got people out there, you know, forecasting where ICE is going to go in the next hour. Where are they at right now trying to serve warrants? The whole Los Angeles episode it started because we were serving 3 criminal search warrants. It wasn't an immigration raid at all. We were serving 3 criminal search warrants on a money laundering case, a tax evasion case, and customs fraud case. And of course, when we got to that garment district, we did find illegal aliens in the site. We did a search warrant. Yeah, of course they're going to be arrested. We're going to force the law. But it was all mismessaged by the left. And, you know, I want to just, you know, make it clear to all those on the left, all those Democratic representatives in Congress, you're not going to stop us. We're going to do this job. I'm not going anywhere. I got death threats. I had 1,000 protesters at my house. Fine. You want to protest an empty house? Have at it. Tom Homan isn't going anywhere. It's the men and women of ICE aren't going anywhere. We'll be there today. We're going to be there tomorrow. We got over 100 teams in LA operating right now. We got over 100 teams in New York City operating right now. We're going to double or at least triple that number. So ICE is not going to be bullied for not doing the job. You can attack them all you want. I hate to see that, but if you cross the line, you'll be prosecuted. You can show up and protest all you want. You have the right to protest. You have that. I support the Second Amendment, but you can't, First Amendment, but you can't cross that line. And we're going to hold people accountable. ICE isn't going anywhere. So we're going to keep doing this job. We're proud of the job we're doing, and we're going to keep doing it every single day across this country because, again, every day we do this job, the community's much safer. And you already see the numbers. Fentanyl seizures are decreased over 50%. Sex trafficking is down tenfold. We are making it different. Don't expect the terrorists coming across the country. Zero. We had over 400 on Joe Biden. What have you had since President Trump's been in office? Zero. We're going to force the law. Exercise your First Amendment rights all you want, but don't cross that line, or we will hold you accountable.
Just one final question, Mr. Borzar, and it has to do with the region of New York and somebody who's in the news a lot lately because she's most likely planning on running for higher office. It'd be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. AOC has come and what looks like to us crossed the line a number of times, but 2 very curious stories out of her office. One, as soon as you were able to regain your position as border czar, AOC had a criminal alien who was working in her congressional staff flee the country. Now, I can't quite square how that's possible. How is somebody allowed to be a criminal alien in this country and then go work in Congress where you have access to classified material and you have access to a lot of important information? And then AOC has gone on and obviously taught publicly illegal aliens how to avoid ICE. She's done this with some of her colleagues in the squad. Here's the article of the criminal alien staffer that AOC had on staff. Maybe you could just start here and as an explainer to me and to this audience, like, how's this even possible?
It's not possible, and I know that's being looked at. I can't comment on past that. I'm aware of it. We've asked ICE to drill in on that case. It's my information that there were actually. I can't really comment on it. We don't know if it was an illegal status or not at this point. It looks like it might have been temporary status, but I can't comment on the case because it's under investigation. As far as her educating people how to evade ICE arrest, she's really educating them on how to be prosecuted because there are statutes on the books, federal statute, when you knowingly hinder your removal, that's a crime. When you take steps to prevent your removal after being ordered removed by a federal judge, it's a crime. We have instructed ICE to start prosecuting these cases. If you don't want to open the door, and we have a final order removal, if you don't want to participate in getting travel documents for your home nation, you take steps to hinder your own removal, that it's a crime, you'll be prosecuted. So she can claim she's educating people to constitutional rights. I'd argue she's educating many people on how to be prosecuted. You're going to see that happening.
All right. Well, we're looking We're very much looking forward to it. You've been a man of your word. Our audience deeply respects your work and is thankful for you, Mr. Borderzar. Here is where you can follow Thomas D. Homan. 750,000 Americans already do. He's on his way to 1 million. Let's make sure that he gets 1 million on X and that he gets 1 million deportations this year. Are we still on track, Mr. Borderzar? Last question.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we have arrested and deported about 3 times more criminals than Joe Biden has already. And as far as X, at Real Tom Homan, there are a couple of fake accounts out there. People are claiming me, but at Real Tom Homan, that's where you find me. You have the White House. There's a White House emblem. I'm certified. So, yeah, to keep track. I don't post a lot. I'm a little busy. I was asked last week, "Are you growing a beard?" I said, "No, I don't have time to shave." I found time this weekend. I find time this weekend. So look, God bless President Trump. God bless the men and women of ICE, and God bless the men and women wearing that green uniform on the southern border. 3 o'clock this morning, I was sleeping. You were probably sleeping. We had men and women standing on the line on our southern border, the most secure border in the history of this nation today. So God bless the men and women of the Border Patrol.
Godspeed, Mr. Borderzar. We are with you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, can't get sick of winning. What do we say? Can't get sick of winning. Just love having Tom Homan on the show. That was fire. My God. We just made some news. Tom Homan calling for the prosecution of CNN. Hello. This is incredible. For assisting in the criminal alien evasion of ICE. Of course, you're not allowed to do this. If there's a criminal, and I know that this is criminal, is running from the law, and I am assisting this criminal, I'm harboring him or her, I'm helping them out. I'm no lawyer, but I can read. You're not allowed to do that, and you can get charged for those kind of things. When you are knowingly harboring and assisting in the evasion of law enforcement, and more importantly, putting law enforcement's life at risk, then you are clearly committing a crime. And CNN committing a crime by doing that? Tom Homan breaking news on our show and demanding an investigation. Whew, boy. Hot fire, ladies and gentlemen. Got to make sure that you are stocked and ready with energy in this era. You never know who's going to join the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, the way that we do that is Field of Greens. Field of Greens gives us our absolute mandatory fruits and vegetables. You can't sit there and eat a plate of fruit. You can't sit there and eat a plate of vegetables. You don't have time. Ladies and gentlemen, our reds and greens are available for us in a delicious glass of doctor-formulated Field of Greens every single day. You feel amazing. You'll notice improved health or your money back. This is how I am able to just kind of lock in here in the studio and rip right through lunch hour. It's just like the way that I do it. I make sure that I'm getting my vitamins. I make sure that I'm getting the nutrients that I need, and I get them in a way that makes it very easy to keep rocking and rolling. This fruit and vegetable drink will give you better health. Field of Greens, ladies and gentlemen, is doctor selected to support vital organs like your heart, liver, kidneys, metabolism, immune system, and healthy blood cells, so you can keep on rocking in the golden era. Let me get you started with 20% off, free shipping. Visit fieldofgreens.com and use code Benny. Fieldofgreens.com, code BENNY. Let's freaking go. All right, let's end with something that I think also will require a little bit of a federal investigation. Kathy Griffin is back with a beheaded President Trump post. Okay, spinning the oldies. This is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. We've already asked, let's go ahead and check and see if they've gotten back with us. We've already asked the administration what they think about this. We've asked we're waiting on a response from the Secret Service and the DOJ and the FBI. But here's the post. Kathy Griffin, it's another severed, bloody head. Now, this is President Trump included with Elon Musk, which is right there on the side, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. There you go. And then Donald Trump. So, seems like an implicit threat on the president's life, every bit of a James Comey style, 86-47. And we really hope that the feds look into this. I'd love for there to be a knock at the door for Kathy Griffin and for her to get like the help that she needs. She's also in the end of the video. I just play it out. She's clearly like crying for help here. We know that Kathy Griffin was already interned in a psych ward during her first beheading. And here's just the one. Here's just the one little clip I'll play here. I think that because it's important.
Do you have fear for your career after this storm dies down?
Absolutely. I don't think I will have a career after this. I'm going to be honest, he broke me. He broke me. He broke. And then I was like, no, this isn't right. It's just not right. And I apologized because that was the right thing to do and I meant it. And then I saw the tide turning and I saw what they were doing and I went, oh, okay, they're trying to spin this and they're making it about Barron, and obviously that was never my intent. I would never want to hurt anyone, much less a child, but I started to see what was really happening, and then it was a mob mentality pile-on. And so many people have expressed to me personally across the country at my shows, they're scared. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get arrested today. I don't know.
Don't ever believe these tears of these frauds. I think the reason I wanted to play that is that was Kathy Griffin. Earlier in that, she like apologizes to Trump, his family. She's like he begs for an apology. Please, please. Don't ever believe these people. They're pathological. You could argue that they're actually demonically possessed. I have a photo that proves it. Here you go. This is demon-possessed Kathy Griffin. This is what happened before and after Trump derangement syndrome, but really what it is a spiritual. You can see like the spiritual life being sucked from her body. You can see it. She looks like a corpse. She looks like the undead. She's not preparing for a movie role. She's not preparing for it, to be like the next creepy clown. This is actually just what Kathy Griffin looks like now. It's a wonderful Ronald Dahl quote that says, if you are ugly on the inside and twisted on the inside, you will become ugly and twisted on the outside. And we've seen that happen with so many celebrities that have exposed who they are. And once the makeup's off and the Hollywood lighting is gone, then you really are able to see like the wretched creature that exists. When the mask is off, oh, it's hideous. Don't ever let that happen to you. Have something that brings you purpose in life and that is disconnected from hatred. For me, it's like this business, this community we're building, my children, we do all this for our kids. We do all this to make sure that there's a country left for them. Those are my motivations. It's very uplifting. It's like, it's positive. It gives you joy, keeps you young, These people, they look hideous. Can you put that up one more time? Like, Donald Trump's older than all these people. Donald Trump's older, some of them by like a decade. He's older. Look at them versus Trump. Look at the difference between them versus Donald Trump. Oh, it's just terrible. Look, and there's just Trump. Look at him go. Slinging the nugs. Slinging hot nugs and salty fries. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. You can always see it. The Ronald Dahl quote says that no matter how beautiful you are on the outside, if you're twisted and ugly on the inside, that will reflect quickly, right? Boy, you hit AOC. Have you seen AOC lately, man? Jeez, she is abuela maxing real hard. Anyway, the point is that like, don't be a liar. Don't be a fraud. Don't like Kathy Griffin. Like, she looks so hideous, but like what's really hideous is what's on the inside. She just lied. She just lied to herself. She lies to the entire country. She's not sorry at all. She's a goblin. Don't be a goblin, ladies and gentlemen. Or an abuela. All right. Too much fun on the program today, but the fun continues. We have a press conference. Caroline Leavitt at the White House in about an hour. We'll be live for that. There's a redirect set, so you can chill out here if you want. Ladies and gentlemen, we just thank you for making this show such a fun gathering point for our movement. That's what we intend it to be. Please consider following us on our RSS feed. Here it is available on BennyJohnson.com, but also here at the QR code. You can scan it and subscribe, and we'd really appreciate that. We're just trying to grow, trying to flex our muscles and grow and get this team the Benny Brigade, big and powerful as possible, so we can keep on winning. How are we going to keep on winning? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to lock in and go to our God. Go to the God. Go to God. And that's how you actually win in life. You realize that these people, no matter who they are, they're not God. God is God. And don't put your faith in man. Man will let you down. Bad things can happen. Make sure that you lock in on the one immovable rock. That's why we have our verse of the day from Philippians 2:2. Make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one spirit and of one mind. Does your joy feel complete today? Man, make sure that you are just focused on the things. Make sure you're focused on the things that will actually matter in life, and you'll be good, right? Yeah, got a lot of family time this weekend. It was fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. We are marching with you on to victory. You know, in the end, we win. It's your boy Benny. See you in a little bit.
It was a radical idea. Imagine doubling the federal minimum wage. I can't do this! No way! Rich kids, they deserve to get a free education. That is what democracy is. Wait!
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.